Oh my God. About program tonight, ma'am?
In a little bit.
All right.
Yeah. I think that's the program.
There you go. We gotta get the video. No, my Like I say, you gotta stay.
Center on the track, the operator of this Raven Raceway and his wife, Dave and Linda Manus.
Good evening, everybody. Nice to see another good crowd. We're going to keep right rolling tonight. We've had some complications up front. For those of you who experienced it, I'm sorry. We had some low water pressure. We got it repaired. So we're going to get right into the program. If you please all stand, take off your hats. Let's have the national anthem, and we'll get the show rolling for you tonight.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Carolyn, once again, our chief singer around here. She does a beautiful job. We're ready to roll. We'll talk to you at intermission. We got a lot of heat races. We got a triple header show for you tonight. Got the Dwarf cars. I believe they have 16 cars here tonight. The Chargers have moved up. They've got about a 35 car count, so I think you're in for a lot of racing action. Sit tight, have a good time, and let's go racing.
Thank you, Dave. And Jack, I think we should perhaps tell a little story out of school here with regard to Carolyn Cook, who usually does our national anthem. Last week, for whatever reason, I don't know if we just had standing crowds around or what, but we didn't see Carolyn. And on nights when we don't have Carolyn in person, we do have her on audio tape. Can you imagine her last week standing on the edge of the track, unseen by us, and as she belts out the first note of the national anthem, you and I are also playing her voice on audio tape. All of a sudden, without any forewarning, she is singing a duet with herself through the national anthem. It wasn't until about halfway through that it dawned on us what had happened. And then we had a predicament up here. We said, well, now, if this is a problem to her down there, do we shut off the tape? Do we shut off her mic? Is that going to throw her completely off balance? But she is such a good sport, took it very well, and I don't think anyone really knew. So we never had to actually tell that story out of school.
Did you see what she did to us when she got done? She just turned around and looked up and went, wow.
Oil and a whole host of folks will, as she periodically plays through our plane here this evening in the homestand, let you know who the rest of her sponsors are. Pamela Fetter, car 18, inside row 2.
Outside row 2 in the car number 7 from Tucson. He's sponsored by Certified Auto Electric. That's Colin Germain.
Inside row 3, car number 74, sponsored by Joyce Spear Greyhound, and she's a swell gal. The Joyce Spear Kennels and C&T Tires, sponsors of Harvey Spear in car 74.
Outside row 3 in the car number 50 from Phoenix, Wayne Noyes.
Car number 23 inside row 4 is the Gordon Sams machine, sponsored by Brassfield Auto Parts and Gary's Towing.
Outside of Gordon is Todd Izzo in the car number 2 as George Camp looks at him. And bringing up the field is John Fetter in 19.
He's got the old green waving, and by golly, we're off and racing on a Saturday night at Raven Raceway, and Dan Umphris is not long in bolting into the lead in this one, and that's the position he'll have, dragging him out of turn number 2. Couple of cars up there in the early on, then a bit of a gap, and then the rest of the pack, but they're surely closing it up rather rapidly. Maybe
look out there.
Too rapidly as we get into a bit of a trouble up there high on turn number 4 with a trio of machines. This one comes away seemingly unscathed, number 74, Harvey Spear, although some might say he set that little predicament up. A stiff charge low in turn 3 that could not be handled. Now we've got another one squirrely down there and almost scraping into some company, but car number 2 comes safely sliding by, so we don't have any more trouble than that which was originally racked up involving the Fetter machine, but it looks like she's got her back to flying too, at least running once again, and that's always a good sign for these folks. Tucson and Dan Umphris in car number 10, bolting into the lead before we go to yellow. Spear and Gordon Sams both heading into the pit field. I'm sure in their minds prematurely. They will see if they can't get her whacked back into shape quickly and back into the fray, as it were. One up here is obviously going to need some help, and help is on the way in the form of Gary's Towing. That being the Pamela Fetter machine. Some of the other sponsors, if I can sort them out here, L. Campbell Tire is on the list. Gary's Towing, Offmuth Used Cars, Sparks Cycle Supply, Johnny's Restaurant. She's got a whole host of them. John's still got his in tour ability shape, but not so for Pamela, involved in that little 3-car fray down there. Set up by some fast charging from that late in the pack bunch we were talking about at the time, as they closed it up, doing it just a little bit too rapidly. Drifting high up there between turns 3 and 4, and unfortunately taking a couple of other machines out in the process. And that's one of them right there, Pamela Fetter's number 18 machine on the hook. So Dan Umphris, the rookie from Tucson, will be in the lead, followed by Colin Germain, another Tucsonan. Todd Izzo, who we had the good fortune of meeting up close and personal when we got rained out last night. He was one of the local driver contingent to come on up to the announce booth, and that's always a nice touch for us. Got one who's made it back in, and they do get the green from George Camp once again, so we're off and running with our first heat for the Chargers division, the NASCAR Chargers, on a Saturday night. Dan Umphris in the lead, followed by Colin Germain, and that's how they continue to run through turns 1 and 2. But look at that charge being put on in that same dangerous area as we saw being done last time around. But this time they all come through it seemingly none the worse for wear. Colin Germain, car number 7, still in second place, but he's got some hot company on his heels. Wayne Noyes down from Phoenix tonight in that car number 50. Todd Izzo making some moves here in the early on. Got one going just a little bit high there in turn 4. Car number 10. Umphris didn't want that to happen because it's knocked him out of the lead and opened it up for Colin Germain, and it looks a little bit like what you and Bob Allen put us through last week, Jack Jacobs.
Not quite. Bob holding her in the mud.
Well, sometimes you don't have much of a choice, do you? Todd Izzo, car number 2, giving some hot pursuit right now to Colin Germain, a pair of Tucson drivers there, dragging her out of turn 2 and taking her down the back chute now.
And Todd Izzo is right on Colin's tail, and he's going to try to take him on the inside as they come around the number 4 corner, but he can't hold it in there and goes wide. He's catching him on the chute. Oh, we've got a smoker here coming down. Uh-oh. Got a fire underneath. And let's get him out of that car.
Be a hot time in the old racing machine tonight at that rate. Todd Izzo, like the Feder machine, with a whole host of sponsors: Berman Construction, Star Automotive and Machine, Leon's Automotive, Wagon Mobile Brake, Fresh Farms. Boy, this is really contagious tonight. Big O Tires, Lose Mobile, and RTT Transmission. He gets any more sponsors, we're going to have to get a bigger card to keep our information on, Jack.
Or a couple of cars. That's Wayne Noyes in that car number 50, having his problems tonight, coming out of the number 4 corner. I don't know if he blew his engine or what, but he had gray smoke coming out from the back end, and all of a sudden a big puff flame underneath the hood, and looked like it doused out there. But Wayne Noyes having his problems early in the evening.
Always tough to have that kind of a problem, but it's even further compounded by your knowledge of the fact that he's driven down from Phoenix.
I was just going to say
only to face that kind of a situation. But glad to see it's apparently been put out rather quickly.
Wayne is sponsored by Challenge Engines, Performance Chevy, and Alexander Marine Electric up in Phoenix. Wayne Noyes. Well, let's see if Wayne can get back out here later on for perhaps the semi or main event.
George Camp gives him the finger, indicating one more at this slower pace, and if it's in a proper fashion as they make this tour. You see what happened with Wayne there after the fire is put out. Gary Stowing pushes him over the hump, so to speak.
And the fans would whoop, woo.
That'll clear up your sinuses. So George Camp's got the green in hand. Eyeballing them as they approach turn 3. Perhaps we'll be off to running in our first Charger heat race of the evening. We do, in fact, go green. And here they come. Colin Germain. Can he hang on to the lead, or will Todd Izzo in that blue number 2 machine swipe it away from him?
He tried.
They are fender to fender down there, weren't they?
They sure were. Todd was right next to him, but he lost it a little bit coming out of number 1.
And he's going to have to be careful back there getting into turn 3, because he's got 3 cars hotly in pursuit of him now, trying to take away second place. But they don't get it done on that tour. Dan Umphris, a rookie racing out here tonight, currently running in 3rd place. And in that last lap, putting a little bit of heat.
And it's anybody's race, even though the white flag's going to be coming out. Anybody can grab this one.
White flag, 1 lap to go. Germain is in the lead. Izzo in 2nd place. Umphris in 3rd. Gordon Sams and John Fetter rounding out your survivors in this first heat race of the evening for the NASCAR Chargers. Got a charge being put on up there in turn
here
3.
They come.
But it may be a skosh late.
Oh, he's next to him. Look at this. No!
Oh!
That was close.
Joe photo finish. Todd Izzo closing it up and winding up about 18 inches shy from being able to pull it off as they cross the start-finish line. But what an exciting finish. Our first one of the evening for the NASCAR Chargers. Colin Germain, though, takes it. Todd Izzo in 2nd place. Rookie Dan Umphris taking 3rd, followed by Sams and Fetter.
And they don't get any closer than that, Tom.
What a nice charge. You always like to see him pull off something like that in the late going, and it's always real sweet to see it if it's being done from, about the time they dive into turn 3 and squabble through turn 4 and head up here to the start-finish line. Perhaps he could always use an extra one anyway. David Henkin.
On the outside of David, also looking for a sponsor, the car number 40 from Tucson, Don Lord.
Inside row 4, 107, Jerry McCartney as we get the green. And we're off and running in a 2nd heat race this evening for the NASCAR Chargers. Don McMurrick in car number 86, sponsored by Golden Eagle Distributors, Brassfield, and the Sneak Joint Bar and Grill, and Jesse Brown in car number 72 to complete this field for you as we're off and running in our 2nd heat race. And not surprisingly, Lucky Larry Davis in that car number 77, tuned and tweaked last week by Jack Jacobs. So Lucky Larry's got a little bit of a built-in advantage in that Jacobs has put that car into tip-top shape for him. And I'm just teasing. Or am I? Something has happened. Davis is in the early on, appearing to be able to run off with it. But let's see. It's still early. Here's Lucky Larry. Number 77, Jim Williams, has gone to the pits. Number 17, Kirk Hall in 2nd place. Bill Harless and David Henkin rounding out your top 4. They're all looking up to Lucky Larry right now in NASCAR Charger number 77.
And Kirk Hall is slowly moving his way up toward Larry right now, trying to throw out that line and reel him back in.
Running a good clean one. Bill Harless trying to battle that number 62 machine into a little bit better position, but he gets in trouble down there in turn 1. A little bit low, takes it into the inside retaining wall, and that definitely slows him down, allowing David Henkin to at least temporarily power into 3rd place. But look here, Lucky Larry's got his hands full with Kirk Hall, and then some, as Lucky Larry falls out of 1st and into 2nd place. Now he'll have to try to battle his way back into the Top Gun spot.
Well, they're just mixing and matching in the back of the field as everybody keeps taking 2nd and 3rd. And Kirk Hall opening up the gap from Larry Davis right now.
That he has done.
We've got one up against the wall. Back to the inside. Look out.
Yeah, that is awfully hard to overcome as that car comes down to the inside. It tremendously wants to fishtail on you at that point at the lowest ebb of the track. That's probably the hardest thing for these drivers to overcome. Kirk Hall in the lead, coming by with that much of a margin built up on Larry Davis, and then look at the gap between those two and the rest of the pack. But here's your battle for 3rd place. Harless is still hanging on. Don McMurrick is trying to close it up in that number 86 machine. Currently running in 4th place is George Camp. Brings out the white flag, indicating 1 lap to go. And it's going to be tough for anybody to catch up with Kirk Hall. Cheryl Hall is the owner of that car, number 17, taking the lead down the back straight now and smelling checkered flag in our second heat race this evening for the NASCAR Chargers. Here comes Kirk Hall running to victory, coming from behind to do so this evening. Lucky Larry once in the lead, winding up in second place. Now what do we got? They're still rather competitive down there, shooting her out of turn 4, but it looks like Bill Harless is going to hang on and take third place. After that, it was real close. Don McMurch, Jesse Brown, David Henkin, all of them right in there in contention. Millie's Auto Salvage, sponsoring that car, number 40 of Don Lords. Able to pick up on that as he brings up the rear of the pack. Running behind Jerry McCartney's 107 machine. So Kirk Hall takes first place. Lucky Larry Davis in second. Bill Harless winds up, Sweet Bill, that is, winds up in third place. Don McMurch in fourth place. Jesse Brown finishing fifth. David Henkin in sixth place, followed by McCartney and Lord Jim Williams. The only one to feel the pinch of attrition in this one, and an early on, I'm sure he felt, premature visit to the pit field tonight. Skosh dry up there. Bob's watching real close. Doesn't look too bad right now. I think that's only dust that's blowing in from the pit road that they use to get out onto the track. So these guys look to be impressing George Campbell all to pieces, wanting the green to fly, and that's exactly what we got. Late models racing on a Saturday night. Terry Green in the lead at the top. Can he hang on? I'll tell you what, Jack, he's got a red-hot Charger right behind him in that dashing Dan Smith, who comes down from Phoenix intent on winning every week. Ivan Russel running in third place in that car number 17. Green is still good for the lead in lap 2. Dan Smith trying to bite him off now on the inside. Can he get it done? Between 3 and 4. Let's check it out. It looks like, in fact, he has. And Terry even loses out now to Ivan Russel. So Dan Smith has surged to the top. Ivan Russel right on his heels. And Terry Green, perhaps still trying to get that car into tip-top race and ready shape. Dan Smith has bolted to the front of the pack. Ivan Russel giving him chase. And now Terry Green hanging on to try to keep Mr. Lang from stealing third place away from him. In this case, Dwayne Lang in number 88.
And Jack Moore right behind Dwayne, trying to make his move.
Need a fight with a bit of a problem on that Mustang. He's got something up front that's in the wrong place right now, and he is headed to the pit field, while Dan Smith continues to dominate here in the early on of our first late models heat race of the evening. Here comes Dashing Dan, car number 29, Ivan Russel in 17, Terry Green running in third, just ahead of Dwayne Lang. And now Lang's got to worry about Jack Moore trying to squeeze him out of that position.
And Ivan is hanging right in there. Look at him.
Ivan giving it a good charge on the inside of turn 4, but he can't get the job done, at least on this tour. And Dan Smith will take the lead to the white flag lap, which is coming up. George Kemp has got white in hand, and here they come out of 4. Dan Smith, Ivan Russel, those two dominating for the lead. Terry Green and Dwayne Lang running 3-4 currently. Checkered flag coming up for Dan Smith or Ivan Russel.
Oh, they're side by side.
Ivan cut him off. Oh, my God, what a charge. And Ivan Russel wins it by scant inches. What a charge by Ivan Russel in that number 17 machine. Another photo finish, and I think maybe we're going to have a bunch of that across this evening. Two in the very late stages, snatched victory right out of the jaws of Dashing Dan Smith, who ran a whale of a good early race, but Ivan Russel nipping him off in the last few inches
My goodness.
of that second heat race.
I thought we had a good race there in the NASCAR Chargers. You couldn't get any better than that, and here we topped that.
Incredible. So Dan Smith winds up in second place. Terry Green takes third, and Dwayne Lang in fourth place. What a great chase. Down from Prescott tonight, number 37, Droopy Dog is the car, sponsored by REW Diesel and Ambrook Metalcraft. Randy Whidden at the wheel.
On the outside of the second row from Phoenix, the car number 24, the Big Bad Wolf car, sponsored by Mesa Dry Shaft and Advanced Techniques, Ernie Adams.
Set the rest of them for you in a moment. We've got green, and we're racing for the first time with the Dwarfs tonight. And Kim Stanley falls out of the lead very early on, but then regains it by the time they come out of turn one. That's what I like about these guys. Uh-oh, they can do so much scrambling and spinning around. That one is probably not going to have left a whole lot of damage on that car. Just a little humiliating to that early on in the race, get spun out.
Nope, Tom, I looked in my glasses, and he did do a little bit of damage.
Has he got some more damage
His
up front?
tire is laying off to the side. Looks like he messed up his whole right front end on that vehicle. I didn't think he hit the wall. I thought he spun out also, but
You got a number on him?
no, not yet.
What a shame to have that happen in the early on. Dave Doty in car number 38, the Casper car. Troy Corcus in the car number 81. They're down from Prescott and Tempe, respectively. Phil Parker in car number 8 and John Kane in car 6. The 8 car is called the Spider-Man, and car 6 is called Happy. Spider-Man, as I understand it, got married to his girlfriend, Mary Jo, what's her name? Mary Jane, not Mary Jo, Mary Jane, can't think of her last name. They supposedly got married. The comic book characters got married before Dwight Gooden went out and pitched for the first time for the New York Mets since coming out of the Coke tank. Driver is okay. We have gotten that word for you, so that's the first good news.
Speaking of Spider-Man, that is Spider-Man over there, the car number 8, Phil Parker, and he's all right. So
I have a feeling somebody's up to a little sneakiness tonight. Do you suppose somebody maybe told his spouse he was coming to Raven Raceway tonight, parked his yellow Toyota in the parking lot, and then drove off with somebody else? Could that have happened? There has to be some explanation.
It's got to be.
Why the owner of a yellow Toyota bearing the Arizona license plate 7126, despite our repeated announcements tonight, is leaving his lights burn. And we just got word that the battery is all but dead. So I hope wherever he is or she is, they're having fun. And I hope it's worth coming back to a dead yellow Toyota at Raven Raceway tonight. 7126 NB. Nancy Boyd. That is the situation regarding that yellow Toyota in the parking lot.
A complete restart we're going to, Tom. The officials have told me.
Yeah, when they crack them up that early on. We're going to hold them down to make sure things are right with what's left of this pack for one more lap. It was just a little close, but George says, hey guys, I want it to come around at a snail's pace one more time and make darn good and sure you're ready before we go to the green. So that's why we'll do one more in yellow, and yes, even though it looked like he just barely did a brush of a kiss up there in turn 2, he obviously did a little bit more, unfortunately.
Phil Parker out of this one. Don't know if he'll be back tonight. We'll find out.
The Spider-Man will be webbing a new wheel on instead of a web tonight. Once again, Kim Stanley gives up the early lead, but boy, it seems like he's got his own little groove down there, low inside turn 1. Regains it back, and then he's got company. not once, but twice. He's got a pair of them go flashing by him into turn 3. And let's see how they've regrouped here down the home stretch. John Kane, the happy car, number 6, is in the lead and building on that lead too now as he comes shooting out of turn 2 and leaving a bit of a battle between Randy Whitten in that car number 37. Hard to see the numbers on his little gray machine, but that is he from Prescott, running in second place and battling valiantly now to hang on to second place. He's got some red-hot contesting going on by Troy Corkus. The sleepy car, but not too sleepy to get himself geared up to potentially run into second place. We'll see John Kane, the happy car, in the lead, that much of a lead on Randy Whitten in number 37, and Troy Corkus hot on his heel, the outside in car number 81. Tempe in first and third place, Prescott in second place. If you like to occasionally do them that way, as far as representation from our state, that's the way they stack up, but John Kane would appear to be running off with this one in happy. Randy Whitten still hanging on to second place in car number 37. Troy Corkus is still in third place with Dave Doty in the Casper machine running fourth, and Kim Stanley, who started from the pole in that number 40 machine right there, and it's for sale, remember. Might want to check that out after Dave Maness in Victory Lane tonight. And you folks are invited to the pit field as well as Victory Lane. Check it out. Put yourself behind the wheel of that car and come racing. I'm anxious to see some Tucson blood involved in these dwarf racers. And I got a feeling it's coming, and also have a feeling once it starts, it's going to come in a rush. The rush right now belongs to that man in car number 6, John Kane. Getting the white flag, 1 lap to go. Unless he just completely buckles under, it's going to be his. Randy Whitten there from Prescott in number 37, still in second place. And now Dave Doty has shoved Casper up to third place ahead of Troy Corkus. Corkus in fourth place. John Kane takes the checkered flag. He's your winner down from Tempe tonight. Looks like the Prescott machine of Randy Whitten will hang on for second place. Yes, he does. Followed by Dave Doty and then Troy Corkus. That's how they wind up, your top 4 in this, our first heat race this evening for the Dwarf Racers. Don't they put on a good show, folks?
Oh, they sure do. John Kane doing such a fine job out there. He just pulled away from everybody.
It's especially nice to see something decent finally being done with a motorcycle engine, a policeman's motorcycle engine.
Yeah,
that'll burn a few, won't it?
Let me tell you, that policeman's motorcycle engine cost me $72 this week.
So I heard. So I heard.
And a few points to add on to my...
How many miles were you over the speed limit?
I'm not telling. Side of the second row next to Ed, the car number 1 from Tucson. Owner is Bob Van Horn, sponsored by Pennzoil. TJ's floor covering, and we'll give you the rest a little bit later as we go into green.
We've got green again. We'll set the rest of the field for you as time permits. There they go. Michelle dashing it into turn number 1, vying for the early lead from whence you just well know she would like to ride her all the way to victory here this evening. Well, let's see how she can do off the top. Sitting on the pole to begin things, we've got a little tightness down there coming out of turn number 4. Michelle Gibson, car 94, in the lead, followed right now by Ed Fine in car 71. Pierre Mick, number 25, is running in third place. John Van Horn in that number 1 machine, rounding out the top 4. Van Horn, sponsored by Pennzoil, TJ's floor covering, Bishop's floor covering, Fisher Engineering, and a bunch more that we'll get to.
Uh-oh, 51 looks like he might have blew a left front tire, so he's going to pull her into the pits. Or into the infield, I should say.
Set this one out and head to the pits after she's all over with.
Mike Murphy in 51 in the infield.
Early exit for Mike. Always tough. Michelle continues to hold on to her lead. Ed Fine still battling in second place. Pierre Mick trying to cut off some of that second place margin of Ed Fine's right now. He can't quite get her done down the back chute. John Van Horn still in fourth place. Bob Pennington out there in car number 15. Perry Duffick in number 14. Get some of the rest of the field established for you here. But it's Michelle Gibson all the way, leading them into turn 3. A fairly decent lead right now on Ed Fine in 71 and Pierre Mick in number 25. Here comes Michelle. And the order is unchanged in your top 4 right now. Bob Pennington, 15. Perry Duffick in 14. Bob Altieri with his machine, number 45, being driven tonight by Bob Langston. Gary Williams piloting machine number 12 as the leaders parade by once again with no change in their positions, and the rest of the pack trying valiantly to get things closed up, but it's a long ways back between Michelle right now and Gary Williams in car number 12, bringing up the rear. Here comes the white flag.
Ed Fine just slipped under Michelle. Took the lead, Tom.
1 lap to go, and Fine was in a perfect position to slide into the lead. And ironically enough, Michelle not only falls out of the lead, but gives up second place as well. So she has gone from the lead to third, now bites her way back up into second place. But what a tough spot, and doing some fender banging down there.
Oh!
She is sent into the retaining wall as the checkered flag falls for number 71, Ed Fine. Fine job of driving, and Lady Luck to a certain extent. She always plays an important role, but what a spot for him to be in when opportunity came knocking. When things got a little hectic down there in turn 4. Pierre Mick takes second place. John Van Horn winds up third. Bob Pennington in fourth place. And Michelle Gibson, your early leader and dominator in this Charger race, banged into the wall down here at the beginning of our home stretch. A tough, tough ride for Michelle tonight. Hope she's able to get that one repaired promptly and back into the racing fray out here. They did a couple of bumps and grinds down there, didn't they? And then finally it just wound up putting her into a wide looping kind of a fishtail that shoved her into the wall, but hopefully no structural damage under there.
That could have been a lot worse, Tom. She was really headed into the wall fast, and then she got to put the brakes on just before she hit, so I'm sure that saved her a lot of damage.
Luckily, too, at that point, you're doing a little going uphill, so her damage is not all that heavy. A little bit dinged in there on the left front, so they'll be doing some sheet metal work.
It must be very disappointing for her, leading the race just about the whole way, and then just before the white flag comes out.
Last we knew, the lights were still but barely burning.
I doubt if they're burning now.
It's been a long night. It's still sitting there? Can you still see the lights?
The night the lights went out in Tucson.
Looks like I'll have plenty of time to step out and check this out. Oh my goodness, yes. It looks like parking lights.
Boy, is Butch McCluskey bringing him around slow. Your pole sitter brings him around. Let's see what happens if George gives him the green. What do you think, Tom?
I think we're going to go green. We do. George says, yes, I've had enough of this. Let's pick up the pace. And the best way he knows to do it, wave a little green in front of these guys. Butch McCluskey, from that slow pre-race pace, bolts into the lead and hangs on to it through turn 1. Look at that surge going on right up the middle of the pack, Jack, and all the way from deep in the pack to 3rd place in turn 3. Going to be anxious to read the number on the side of that machine because he has done a heck of a surge job. That's Jerry Warren in car number 44.
He's challenging John Banks right now for 2nd place, going on the outside of him down the back chute.
He's come from deep down to get himself right in the thick of it all. He's involved in a 3-way battle for 2nd place right now. And boy, I'll tell you, McCleskey went high and got real squirrely in turn 4. He gave up some precious ground to that trio of cars pursuing him and battling for 2nd place. A little tight down there between a couple of them in turn 1, but they come out of it unscathed. There's McCleskey again, seemingly awfully high in turn 4. But if he's happy doing that and staying in the lead, what the heck? Number 80, Carmen Griffith, is another one closing up the gap and doing so rather quickly. Another pass inside turn 1 there. Lap number 4 coming up. In this, our 4th heat tonight for the NASCAR Chargers.
Look out there, Carmen.
Oh, that's a little bit of what happened to Michelle, so want to be extra careful. Butch McCleskey still in the lead. Jerry Warren is given the best chase right now in the double 4 car, 44.
Gene
We've got
King.
one stalled and one off the wall. Can he get out of there in time? The yellow's out. George Camp says, no, it looks a little too squirrely and hectic to me to keep up this pace, so let's drop the yellow on him and regroup. That's what we're doing, but Butch McCleskey will still be in the lead with 4 laps, now history, in this, our 4th heat race for the NASCAR Chargers tonight. Carmen Griffith in the car number 80 is in 3rd place. John Banks currently running 4th, followed by Sheila Van Hoff, David Fox, Jim Guyot, and Gene King. So it's another wild transition from race pace to the pace as established by Butch McCleskey while we're under the yellow. Jerry Warren in car number 44 with a tremendous surge in the early on laps of this one has put himself up to 2nd place. Carmen Griffith in 3rd, John Banks 4th, followed by Sheila Van Hoff in 5th place, David Fox in 6th, Jim Guyot in 7th, and Gene King up from Sierra Vista tonight, Jack.
Oh, I talked to Gene. He's a really nice guy. And Gene and the rest of them have 4 laps down out of this 8-lap event.
So we've reached midway. And we're still under the yellow.
And we finally got Carmen straightening around up in front of John Banks. Carmen thought he was in 4th place, but when the yellow went out, he was in 3rd place, and that's why Carmen is now in 3rd place and John Banks is in 4th.
Oh. Maybe what we ought to do, you
Yes.
suppose, is put radios inside the cars.
Aha, that would be nice.
Sometimes they just don't see the hand signals.
Oh, we would have,
Or is it they just don't want to see the hand signals?
we'd have to put about a minute delay on those radios.
Expletives deleted. Well, it looks copacetic. We'll see if they can sell it to George Camp. He's eyeballing him. He's got green in hand. And he says, hey, let's do it. So let's see if Butch McCleskey has got a quick gear in that baby and can stave off Jerry Warren in car number 44. He does into the first turn. Jerry Warner in that 2nd place machine. And not Warren, as I have been in error tonight. My apologies. And thanks for getting us set straight. Much rather have it that way, for sure. Nice young lady popping into the booth with that update, the ER underlined.
As Jerry comes on the outside of McCluskey as they go into turn number 1. And Carmen hanging in there in that car number 8. Uh-oh, George got that white flag out. If Jerry's going to make his move, he better make it pretty soon, Tom.
Time is definitely running out on Jerry Warner, who's trying to close it up on that guy right there in number 36, Butch McCluskey, who likes to go from slow to real fast.
Oh, what's some tough
rough ride back there for Mr. Warner. And that will take him out of this one. Butch McCluskey will run uncontested to the checkered flag, which is about to fall for him. He's got it. Followed by Carmen Griffith, Sheila Van Hoff, David Fox, John Banks, Gene King, and Jim Guyot. And the number 44 machine back under his own power, thank goodness, with Jerry Warner at the wheel.
These folks have come out here to race tonight, haven't they? In all these divisions so far. Everybody wants to win.
Exciting.
Yes.
We need to get a camera down there for some of these photo finishes this evening. An occasional wild ride thrown into it. It's just a little bit of everything so far this evening. Iron D&R engines and the Kolb Road Lounge plus the Bootery on Craycroft. Marion Laughing Boy Smiley.
On the outside of Marion in the car number 71 from Tucson, Paul Banghar as we go into green once again.
We've got green. We'll set the rest of the field for you momentarily. The Laughing Boy makes an early surge there and powers his way into third place, coming out of that first turn in a brand new machine. It's only got a couple of outings under its belt. That number 9 car, the bright yellow, we talked about it earlier. Marion Smiley in third place behind Ron Widwell at number 34, and Jimmy Brassfield in the early lead here tonight in machine number 26. Rick Sipes giving him some fits back there in the backstretch. He gets a little bit of a bump down there that almost sends him flying between turns 3 and 4, but he holds off and moves in front of Smiley. Rick Sipes, the 4U car, moving his way up into second place now behind Jimmy Brassfield. Coming by in the lead, followed by Sipes, who's charging real swell right now. Ronnie Widwell, the number 34 in third place, and Laughing Boy Smiley currently fourth in car number 9, and temporarily third going into turn 3, and he hangs on. Looks like he may lose it in turn 4, in fact does. Widwell still in third place behind Rick Sipes and your leader Jimmy Brassfield. That's how they go down the back chute back there. And that's how they come out of turn 4. Jimmy Brassfield in the lead, Rick Sipes running second, Ron Widwell, Marion Smiley, followed by Paul Banghart now in car number 71. So there's your top 4. Still early on in this one for the late model. Laughing Boy is now back into third place, just ahead of Paul Banghart, who's inched ahead of Ronnie Widwell. That's how they take her through turn 1.
There goes Rick Sipes way wide down the back chute, almost losing it.
Brassfield in the lead, and company separating Rick Sipes from closing up. And that number 48 machine has got some problems right now. Melendrone has got sheet metal flapping on the right front side as the white flag is out. And the checkered flag is in the hand of George Camp.
And look at the battle
Who's
between
going to take
Smiley.
it? It's being shown to Jimmy Brassfield. Rick Sipes in second place. Smiley running third. Banghar fourth. And fire spitting out of the side of that tangled up right side of the Lou Malandrone car. Jimmy Brassfield to the checkered. Rick Sipes in the Bud car, taking second. Smiley third in number 9. Paul Banghart fourth. And Ron Widwell, who was at one time running as high as third, winding up in 5th place. In that car, number 34. Malandrone got a loose front right fender. They were doing their share of wheel to wheel out there, and these aren't open wheel machines. Get you running here. Looking at 10 o'clock. George wants to get home.
George, stay out here all night long.
We've got green again, and here come the Dwarfs. Number 71 cannot hang on to it. Nice early charge going on in this one as they spread themselves out early on. Except for a 2-car battle right now for second place, and here they come. Lap 1. Glenn Posey in the lead. Steve Datsun taking second place in the early on, followed by Brian Carr and Frank Wright. Jim Allen in that little green 13 machine trying to make a move out there in turn 2. He doesn't get it done, though. Settles back. Running about 5th place right now. Your leader from Tucson, Glenn Posey. The Yamaha 1100 powering that lead car, number 47. Brian Carr in the Popeye machine, currently second. And Steve Datsun now relegated to 3rd place. Looks like Jim Allen has battled his way forth to 4th place. In fact has. That's how they shape up going into turn 1. Look at the gap that's been established now between Posey and Carr as we look at lap number 4. Glenn Posey flashing by in 47 with that much of a lead right there on Brian Carr. And Steve Datsun in that 71 machine trying to stave off Jim Allen in car number 13. He's able to succeed in doing that through turns 1 and 2. Jim taking the high road down the back straight back there. That's how he goes into it at turn 3. Can't cut off any of the current lead, and in fact, if anything, gave up a little ground, did Jim Allen on Steve Datsun in the battle for 3rd place. Brian Carr running second right now to Glenn Posey. Posey is a great racing name down over the years. Sam even doing a good job as he climbs from the racer's cockpit. Jim Allen putting a move on now into turn 1, but he can't hold on to it. Posey doing a good job having shifted from the cockpit to the announce booth. White flag is out for this Posey, Glenn Posey, in car number 47. No change at the top. Brian Carr still running second, and Jim Allen trying to inch his way ahead of Steve Datsun in that 71 machine. Each time it looks like maybe he's going to get it done. He doesn't. The checkered flag falls for Glenn Posey. Second place will wind up with Brian Carr. 3rd place will go to Steve Datsun, followed by Jim Allen. And then Frank Wright in the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And Bobby Rowe in the Freddie Flintstone, number 29.
Sorcerer's Apprentice. Where do they get these names?
I guess you could say that's an off-the-wall name, since the driver is a drywall hanger. Performance engines up at the other end of our interstate, Carl Moltner Jr. in car 9-0. George eyes him and drops the green on him, and we've got racing, late model fashion. Once again, let's keep an eye on Mr. Trevor. See what he's got in mind here. Dan McRedman, I think, is going to be another good charger. And let's see how they close it up here in the early on as they grab that field from the track. Jack Cocott started on the lead and is still in the lead. Look who's on his bumper. Carl Trimmer in car number 74, the Blue Circle West machine.
And here comes Trimmer at the inside.
Boy, that's been a battleground tonight, hasn't it? Carl steals it away from him on the home stretch and takes the lead in turn 1. Well, there's just been some swallacious driving. On the inside of turn 4 tonight is where a lot of gain has been made. Carl Trimmer in the lead, followed by Jack Hancock. Mike Hancock out of Eloy, currently running in third place with that number 73 machine, and Billy Brandon trying to close things up in car number 55. Here comes Trimmer, Cocott, Hancock, and Brandon, followed by Jamie Throckmorton. Those are your top 5 machines right now as Trimmer opens it up down the back straight on Cocott. And it'll stay that way through 3 and 4 and down the home stretch. Jack trying to close it up desperately, and so far he just can't get the job done. We've got us a 3-car battle, Jack, right now for third place, currently being commanded by Mike Hancock, but Billy Brandon's putting a red-hot move on in that red number 55, diving into turn 3. He's unable to pull it off.
And Brockmorton's right in there with them.
But he may get him here on the home stretch, and does, and takes the lead into third place in turn 1. So Billy Brandon flashing double 5s on you tonight, trying to close the gap up as Carl Trimmer takes the white flag. He's got 1 lap to go, and he looks to be in pretty good shape. Jack Cocott looks to be pretty good for second place. And Billy Brandon, can he stave him off and take a third place finish in this heat race for the NASCAR Winston late models? We'll see. Here comes Trimmer to the checkered. Carl wins it.
There's
Jack
another
Cocott
close one
takes
coming.
second.
Here
Break
comes
out the
James.
cameras.
Oh.
Billy Brandon hangs on as Throckmorton tries to close her up and just couldn't quite get her done. Carl Trimmer, Jack Cocott, Billy Brandon, Jamie Throckmorton, Mike Hancock, Dan McRedman, and Carl Moltner Jr. That's how they wrap it up.
Right there at the end, Throckmorton poured on the gas, but just couldn't quite catch up to Brandon. Some exciting racing here tonight, everyone.
This will be a 15-lapper. And the green falls per your starter, George Camp. And John Fetter gives up the lead in the early on to that car number 72, Jesse Brown. But can Jesse hang on? He loses the lead right back to Mr. Fetter by the time they get out of turn 2. So he falls in pursuit from that second position here in the very early on of this one. Now Jesse Brown looks like he's going to try to put the move on again. Bob Altieri, his car number 45, being driven by Bob Langston tonight. Up there in third place, John Banks running well here in the early on. 26 looks to be about to go up in smoke. We'll keep a close eye and ear on that one. Here's how they're running right now as David Henkin has shoved that 69 machine into third place behind Jesse Brown and John Fetter.
And Henkin just slipped in there under Jesse, and now he's in second place.
Got a car pooped out up here in the home stretch, and boy, look at the smoke pouring now.
Oh, he's on
followed
fire.
by flames under there. Don't take long to get those babies red hot. Ken McKeskey in the number 26 car, experiencing first smoke and then flame. They say where there's smoke, there's fire. We just saw that, didn't we? Pamela Fetter is in this field as well. Down in the pack, as is Michelle Gibson. Glad to see her able to get back out. Jerry Warner in that number 44 machine, who experienced some tough luck earlier on, is back and in this one. But at the top right now, the way they're running, John Fetter, car number 19 in the lead, Jesse Brown, car 72 in second place, David Henkin is currently running third in the 69 machine. Bob Langston has car number 45 up into fourth place. Perry Dufik, number 14, is currently running fifth. Gene King in car number 82, presently in sixth place. So your top 5 machines right now are from Tucson. Your sixth place car is the car visiting us tonight from Scary Vista.
Now, folks, it's not that Tom cannot see correctly. It's just that during the yellow flag, car number 72, when the yellow flag came out, was in second place. Now we've got him back right. And he is in second place currently because the yellow flag went out when he was in second place. And then David Henkin slipped on up in there.
Michelle Gibson in car number 94 now, Jack, is powered her way up to 7th place, and Pamela Fetter
right behind her,
right beside her. Or in this case now, right behind her as we go single file to get him back under the green again. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your first place purse is?
Does your children know where you are?
Used to love that back on the East Coast. We've got green again, and here we go. Starting to say when we come on to do our news at 11 o'clock, we always follow that 11 o'clock station identification. It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? '49 whipping her into the pit field, John Banks. Get some things sorted out down there. No change at the top so far. John Fetter in car number 19 being chased by Jesse Brown, as they were earlier. David Henkin, getting it real tight up there on the bumper of Jesse Brown. They had a chance to get real squirrely, but some good driving prevailed, and they were able to get it straightened out.
Uh-oh, look out there, number 4. We've got one
that's a tough spot to be running with less than full power.
Another blocker over there.
Camp is going to fall out of that starter's cage if he's not careful, trying to get 51 out of the way. But it doesn't work, and we go back to yellow.
Yep.
A not so mellow yellow. They obviously wanted to keep this one going, but it's just not going to come that way. Number 51 down here, Mike Murphy. Mr. G's Diner and Junk Unlimited car. Broke down right in front of the main grandstand area. So Gary's Towing, as they so often do, come to the rescue. And you guys are such a good-looking crowd. I love your personality tonight, and I have a feeling a little bit later on when we go to our mains tonight, I just got a sneaking suspicion, Jack Jacobs, we're going to produce one of our all-time greatest Raven waves.
The best yet tonight. I'm looking forward to the wave.
And that's saying a lot because we have had some dandies out here.
Oh, we've had some nice ones.
Some Raven waves just pulled off to perfection. But I think tonight's perhaps going to top them all.
Sure seems like a longer race, but it's only 4 laps down.
We've got 4 of them in the history book right now. Oh, my goodness.
What was that? What happened? Did a car spin out?
Whew! Next best thing.
Are you going to share with the fans what happened?
Kathy Green, did you hear us talking earlier about putting you in a race machine this year?
Give me a dwarf car and I'll race.
Yeah, I'll give her a dwarf
Yeah,
car.
she likes them dwarfs, too.
She's the same opinion I am. Those are just lovely little machines. I think that would be a heck of a way to go.
Yep.
If you're going to go dwarf. I saw a lady in the stand tonight.
I've seen a few ladies in the stand today.
I hope she's still here, but I saw a lady in the stand tonight with a little button up on her blouse that said, "I love dwarf cars." And I share that sentimentality. I like these guys, too. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I love them all.
Love the late models. Rear engine modifieds. You know, they all got their own little personalities.
Every single one of them.
And each division of racing has its own personality.
Well, they held it up for car number 80 was in the pits making a pit stop, and that's why the yellow flag was out, and he's back out in the field now. Oh, nope, that's car number 60. That's Skip Walker making a pit stop, an early pit stop in this 15-lap semi-main event.
George and Bob give him one more finger, indicating one more at this pace. They see something they're not totally happy with. So before we start them up again, they're going to shake them down and hopefully shake them into shape.
Now, you've raced in celebrity races before, but what a thrill it is for John Fetter right now, being leading the pack around, knowing that all of these automobiles are behind him as he's coming around number 4, and knowing that they all want to get ahead of him. It's just a feeling you just can't describe. You've got to be there. And I've been there.
Maybe one night down the road, you can be there as we do our celebrity racing next week. That all starts up, and hopefully later on in the season, we'll do some non-celebrity racing where local business folks can maybe get their first ride. We've got green again, and John Fetter bolts into the turn 1, holding onto that lead and trying to stave off David Henkin in car number 69. David's done a great job. Our first opportunity to see that young fella tonight. Jesse Brown now in 3rd place. And they're pretty tightly bunched here at the front of the pack as they come fishtailing out of turn 4. Henkin vying for the lead on the low road going into turn 1, and they are door to door up there, and sure enough, Henkin battles his way by John Fetter and into the lead, and suddenly Jesse Brown is giving Fetter some fits up there in turn 3, and we'll see how they shape up coming out of turn 4, but David Henkin has bolted 69 into the lead, and Jesse Brown now has in fact moved up and into 2nd place. So there's been some changes here in the early on of this resumption. You see them down the back chute, into and out of 3, coming out of 4 as we reach the midway point, so indicated by the crossed flags by George Camp. David Henkin and Jesse Brown running 1-2 right now. Bob Langston and John Fetter battling it out for 3rd place right now, and so far Langston has the better of that little battle. But we'll see. A couple of them getting real close back there.
Michelle Gibson.
Michelle sending her competitor up against the infield wall. She had her own tryst with the wall earlier this evening.
That's Jerry Warner brushing up against Michelle.
Got one heading off to the pits, Jack, a bit prematurely, as I'm sure they always feel it is.
That was Jerry Warner, the one that brushed up against Michelle. He's into the pits.
Well, he's
44.
had a couple of problems out here this evening. Once back there in turn 2, and this time in turn 3 is he and Michelle Gibson getting a little too close for comfort.
Speaking of close, Pamela Fetter in that 18 car's got a fender sticking out slightly on the left front. Oh, look out, 69, held it in there!
Oh, my God, no!
Woo! Good job of driving by 69.
Saw little bits and pieces off of the back of Henkin's car go flying into the mud as he got scraped, getting it straightened back out and back out onto the track. And so it sometimes goes. We got a smoker heading into turn one. That can create a little bit of a sight problem, I suppose. Michelle coming by. She seems to be none the worse for wear and tear after her little scrape back there in turn three. Smoker seems to be intent now on getting out of the way. Lap number 12 in progress now. Lap number 12 is what we're working on here. So Henkin takes a bouncy ride from first place to his current standing of second place, with Jesse Brown in that car number 72 right there in the lead. And that much of a lead on that man right there who once was the leader, David Henkin, in car number 69. 72 and 69 running 1-2 right now. White flag drops for Jesse Brown in 72, and now picked up by David Henkin. John Fetter in car number 19, currently running third, and Bob Langston has battled his way back up to fourth place. So that's how they run, with a car awry in turn 4 in the early on of turn 4. So we go with both yellow and checkered. Michelle Gibson in trouble down there again in turn 4. So turn 4 has not been kind for Miss Gibson tonight. But it was better, far better this time around than what it was the last time around. Jesse Brown takes the checkered flag. David Henkin, who had led, winds up in second place. John Fetter finishing third, and Bob Langston takes fourth place. Sponsored by Suzuki of Tucson, George's Exxon, Cars of Arizona, Sorcerer's Apprentice with Frank Wright at the wheel. Outside pole position. Inside row 2, car 27, driven by a car, Brian Carr. It's the Popeye machine, Steve Datsun. Car number 71 will sit outside of him. Jack Hickman in number 66 inside row 3. Glenn Posey, who ran so swell earlier on in car number 47, a Yamaha 1100. And from Tucson will be outside of row 3, sponsored by Valley Pro Auto Parts and Cutler Landscaping. Tom Posey is the owner of the car they call Killer Bee. Troy Corcus in car number 81 will be inside row 4, sponsored by Melody Lounge in Tempe and Danny Miachik. Outside of Corcus in row 4 will be Ernie Adams and the Big Bad Wolf, down from Phoenix tonight, sponsored by Mesa Drive Shaft and Advanced Techniques, car number 24. Randy Whitten, car number 37, down here and racing from Prescott tonight. And they've got the green.
And that's Bob McKinley putting them on the green for us.
Jim Allen maintains that lead into turn 1. Oh my goodness, they were awfully close, but come out of that one unscathed. That little blue machine running awfully close to one of his competitors down there in turn 1. Allen sideways and tangled up, and almost a flip-flop job. And boy, that brings out the yellow awfully quick. Jim Allen taking a hellacious ride temporarily down there in turn 4. That one, Jack, looked to be destined to go a lot worse than what it did.
It sure did. That could have.
And look at that. He's got it back and under power again. Yes. My goodness. Good gracious. He's going to go racing.
Good job also.
We dropped off with Randy Whitten in car number 37 inside row 5. Outside of him, Dave Doty in car number 38. Bobby Rowe inside the last row in car number 29, and on the outside of the back row, John Kane in the happy car.
And folks, that flag that George has out right now, the yellow and red flag, means a complete restart because we did not get one full complete lap. That's a complete restart flag.
Whitten's car is sponsored by REW Diesel and Ambrook Metalcraft. The Doty car by ABC Body and Frame and Doughboy Auto Repair. The Rowe machine sponsored by Sundancer Restaurant and Lounge and James Tire. And the Kane machine, number 6, sponsored by Arizona Motorcycle Salvage and Papago Plating.
Wherever, never mind.
I'll tell you, been a tongue-tying kind of a night. I don't know if it's because of all the excitement or if every so often you just got to go through one of those where nothing comes out straight.
It is an exciting night here at Raven, and here comes number 6 back out on the racetrack.
The car they call Happy. The driver they call John Kane.
Happy John.
Car number 6. Now Bob McKinley gives him the finger, indicating one more lap. George Camp says, hey, settle down. He's got those Michael Jackson gloves on so they can see him.
And look at that. They're bumping 66 and 81, doing a little bump job there as they come down the front chute.
Why not? NASCAR would charge him about $15,000 for doing
Yes.
that. You see where, after they did that, the following week, the NASCAR Appeals Board overruled that and said Jeff Bodine did not, in fact, have to pay that money for what they consider to be some rather frivolous bumping and grinding going on the NASCAR circuit in recent weeks.
I don't want to lie to you. No, I didn't.
McKinley says, let's do it under the green again. And so there goes Jim Allen.
Do it in the dirt.
What an incredible job. After a very, very bouncy ride through turn 4 tonight, a miracle just to see him get the machine back in the race. Look at these guys go. It's like a swarm of bees back there.
Seesaw back and forth.
I just love these guys. I think dwarf racing is just one swell of a sport. Brian Carr in car number 27 has shoved his way into the lead as Jim Allen loses some steam on that early lap here under the restart. And a nice surge going on by, it looks like, John Kane. Can it be? You got to be kidding me. He has come all the way from the rear of the pack to second place in that number 6 machine.
Unbelievable.
And maybe
in first place,
if he can bite it off, and he does, shooting down the back straight. My goodness, what a come-from-behind effort by, no wonder they call that car Happy. It's running awful happy and making its driver, John Kane, more than happy right now from dead last to the front runner in the main event for these dwarf racers tonight. Lap number 4. That's come quickly too, but not as quick as this guy right there. With Troy Corcus battling in second place right now, and Brian Carr, your one-time leader in this main event, car number 27, running third.
And look at Randy Whitten in the car number 37, that Droopy Dog car coming all the way up from the back also.
He's the guy who brought it up all by himself tonight, then expected to find some pit help from Tucsonans. I don't know whether he got it or not, but right now he's got third place all to himself, with a couple of red-hot contenders on his heel, and he seems to be opening it up just a little bit on those two. So Randy Whitten from Prescott running in third place. But a long gap to be closed up on John Kane and Troy Corcus.
And Dave Doty also coming all the way up from the rear in the 38 Casper car.
It's one thing I've noticed about these guys. Jim Allen now, who survived that bumpy ride, maybe has got something going loose in there. Giving all the other drivers the indication with the right hand out of the car that he is attempting to make it to the Pitfield Road.
Now look at that. He's got a little green light on the back of, on the roof of his car flashing on and off.
I saw that earlier, and I thought I was seeing that from the inside, from the cockpit of the car. But it's on the outside. We've got 7 laps in the book now for these guys, as it looks like we're about to lose Jim Allen, your early on leader, and then your survivor of that very bouncy ride. Boy, that could have gone a lot worse real quick. Thank God it didn't. Jim Allen just getting a bouncy ride, which beats breaking up a ride altogether. And Lord knows we had one of those out here last week, a tumbling, somersaulting, twisting machine that literally scraped the back wall as it was doing its number and creating sparks. A gas tank that came loose from the machine, ruptured, but luckily did not explode. The driver, as I recall, down from Phoenix that night, the first thing he said to Dave Maness and the other emergency crew people who were first on the scene and got him pulled out of the wreckage, first thing the driver wanted was a cold beer. I can identify with that, and I rather imagine you folks can too. The Bud Thunder posters at intermission. We'll be giving those away to the kids in the stands tonight wearing a Raven t-shirt. So if you've got a t-shirt, kids, and you're not wearing it, go get her on. John Kane, Troy Corkus, Randy Whitten, Dave Doty, Brian Carr, and Glenn Posey. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how the top 6 stack up right now, with 7 laps down and 8 laps to go in our Dwarf Racing main event. Green again, says George Camp, and John Kane will lead him down the home stretch and into turn 1. Deceivingly fast little cars, one awry back there, but seemingly unscathed out of turn 2. A lot of traffic swirling by him on both sides. That's Glenn Posey, who ran so well earlier on this evening, experiencing his problems there in turn 2.
And he
but
gets
he's
it going.
back.
Yes.
He's got her running again. So we're still 7 laps down, 8 to go. And it's regroup time. Glenn Posey pushes her around to get her back to the back of the pack. That's where he'll start from. So we've got some sorting out to do here. We've got a couple of them apparently who are out of sequence.
We need to put 37 up in front of 38.
George Camp telling them to hold her down, hold her down. We've got some cars out of sequence. He wants to get it corrected. They need to get the Whitten car in front of the Doty car. In this case, we need to put Droopy Dog ahead of Casper.
I like these guys.
Right behind Sleepy and Happy.
John Kane, your current leader. 3-7.
Maybe what we ought to do is put a tote board up at the end of the home stretch here, big sign on that pit field wall where we can flash their numbers to them in the sequence they're supposed to be in. Or better yet, Jack, maybe we could put you on a motorcycle.
Oh, you might as well just stop right there.
Keep you back there behind the Bud sign. And we can bring you out and let you ride up beside them and let them know what order you want them in.
Not me. I like it up here just fine. There we go. Getting them sorted out now.
So Randy Whitten is put into his proper place in that number 37 machine. That would be third place. It looks like they have successfully got him in there. 7 laps down still.
Looks like we've got an interview going on down here with a TV camera, is that?
No, those are called crowd shots, cutaway shots.
Oh, okay.
Green once again for Happy and John Kane, and here he brings him into turn 1 in the lead with Troy Corkus trying to cut it off. Whitten has suddenly dropped from 3rd place all the way back to 5th place as we get another one awry up here in turn 4. And you see the track official down there with the yellow in hand and trying to wave them to the outside to get them by that little, and we hope temporarily broken down machine, but he's got her powered up again. That's Glenn Posey again.
Uh-oh. I see the black flag out. And Mr. Posey's.
2 spin outs will do that for you.
Sure will.
And Glenn's going to pretend he didn't see a thing.
Yeah, well, he's going to pretend, but Mr. Camp, oh, I don't know.
Green falls again, and it's a 10-lap affair now. John Kane takes the lead in turn 1. Holds on to it through turn 2. Troy Corkus in car number 81 about to give up 2nd place, if he's not real careful, to, I think, Dave Doty. They are side by side between 3 and 4. John Kane in the lead, followed by Corkus still with Dave Doty in car number 38 running 3rd. And Randy Whitten has fallen from grace. Right here in this 37 machine, the Prescott car, as the white flag, or 1 lap to go, falls for Happy. And then the rest of the pack with Dave Doty now having battled his way up into 3rd place. Behind Corkus and Kane, with Brian Carr piloting Popeye into 4th place. Here comes the checkered flag, thank goodness, for John Kane. He runs off with it, followed by Troy Corkus,
Look at
Dave
this.
Doty,
Oh, no!
and Brian Carr.
And 3 of them are down. As the checkered and yellow come out at one time, we thought it was all over, Tom.
It's never over with these guys until it's over.
And a smoker going into the pits.
And some nights it's real hard even then to tell when it's over. But we got us a bit of a mess down here in turn 4.
Well, while we have a break, I want to welcome Rose and Randy and Jack Jr. and the rest of the gang out here tonight.
Well, these guys just did not know when to stop, did they? Some of them
John
literally